Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. My name is Monet Souza. Today, I'm being joined by Will Goodman. Will, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Monet. It's a great honor.
Of course. So, Will, you are involved with many pro-life work and efforts, especially with Red Rose Rescue. Can you just explain a little bit about the mission of Red Rose Rescue and your involvement with them?
Certainly. So, Red Rose Rescue is a volunteer coalition of pro-lifers from across many different spectrum. And we do work to specifically share Christ's love with the unborn babies and the mothers and fathers at the very last moment when their lives are in danger. And so we follow the divine command from Proverbs 24:11 that says, "Rescue those who are being brought to their death, and do not stand idly by when your neighbor is taken to slaughter." So, this idea of rescuing those in danger, from the time of the civil rights movement, those who did the sit ins at the soup counters, including priests and even bishops, as soon as Roe v. Wade in 1973 was decided, they began to incorporate that kind of strategy of doing a peaceful sit in, but at the places that take the lives of the innocent. So Red Rose Rescue is building on the shoulders of really what's been a very big rescue movement from the early 70s. And many bishops, again, priests, religious, laity, thousands of people have participated, and many thousands, in fact, have opened themselves up to an unjust arrest. And so we're Red Rose Rescue because what we do is we take a red rose and we put pregnancy help information on it and a message of hope to them. And then we'll bring those roses and deliver them to the mothers, in the parking lots or the hallways or inside the very waiting room where these children and mothers are in danger. So Red Rose has been working in this effort since 2017. We've done about 20 or 30 rescues, and we've seen many lives saved, a couple abortion mills close, and we've also established some good relations even with some of the people who have worked at the abortion centers. So we have a threefold mission: to be a witness at the killing place, but also, because of the potential of unjust arrest, the second phase is being a witness in the court for the voiceless and a voice for them before the government. And then the third phase, which can often happen, is what we call a state-sponsored retreat, where we're given the opportunity to do a prison ministry. And so even right now, as we speak, one of our colleagues, Father Fidelis Mosinski, with the CFR Franciscans out of New York City, he's in a jail in Long Island, New York, for his peaceful presence and prayer at an abortion facility in New York. So those are the three dimensions of the rescue mission. So to
Wow.
rescue, to be a witness, and then through prayer and fasting and prison ministry.
So, Will, how does, for myself, I know I've talked about on different platforms my pro-life stance and what that looks like, usually outside of Planned Parenthood. That's where most people's thought goes to. So I know you already spoke to it a little bit, but how does Red Rose Rescue truly go beyond just standing outside of a Planned Parenthood or an abortion facility?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Well, first of all, I'd like to say we recognize the tremendous importance of people standing out and praying and sidewalk counseling at these killing centers. Because we know where and when women and children will be in danger, it's important for us to be at those places. And when we really think, very personally about this child, if we were to think of one of our loved ones, our parents or spouse or our own child, being taken to a place that would painfully dismember them, our first response wouldn't be to go to the Capitol and try to change the law, although that's important. It wouldn't be, to maybe educate about how bad killing is, even though that's also important. And we probably wouldn't be persuaded just to stand nearby when the killing happens. Love draws us to go beyond the line, the invisible line that often are set up by the enemies of life, and that we would go to those places and serve. So with Red Rose Rescue, we really take to heart Jesus' words: whatever you do to the least of my brothers, you do unto me. And so that applies to the preborn child, the mother. And we go to places where it's very, very difficult to sidewalk counsel, often where counselors are not able to reach the women. So that's why we go peacefully and prayerfully to these places. And we don't believe we're breaking any just laws. We must follow just laws, but we will remain in solidarity with the child if the abortion center or even the police say you must leave. We want to leave, but our condition for leaving is that the children wouldn't be killed. And so when we have one of these missions, all of us have equal importance because we're all part of the body of Christ. There are people who will pray in the church. There will be people who sidewalk counsel outside. There will be people who are ready to take these women to pregnancy resource centers or maternity homes. There are those who would pray there on the sidewalk. There are others who would go inside the building and pray, but they believe that maybe God will call them to go back outside if the police come because maybe their family responsibilities. But then some of us also have that call to remain present. And we go there because that's the very place where the children are dying. And so long as we're there, peacefully, prayerfully, and lovingly, no child dies. And what we've seen is abortion centers have closed on the days we've done rescue. We've seen over half of the women who are in the waiting room leave and not go through with the abortion or even come back or even call the abortion center back. And we know this from court records because the abortion center tried to sue us for restitution for all of the money they lost. So it's very important to be at the presence, to be at the place where the lives are being taken, in a certain sense, bear witness there that this evil is occurring and that there's no right to take the life. No one has the right to take an innocent life.
Amen. And I know so many people who are watching may think, whether they're pro-life or not, they may think, wow, this sounds like an extreme approach. Because it's an approach that we don't oftentimes hear about, but it does seem like it is working and it is necessary. So, Will, do you have a specific story or a testimony to how a mother saved the life of her child that you can maybe share with us?
Well, sure. Yeah, there have been a number of very beautiful stories. And if I may, Monet, just to go back a little bit, because some may think that this is very radical, or some may think it's criminal conduct. As Catholics and Christians, we look back to the very beginning and origin of the church in the Roman Empire, where worshiping God in the liturgy, the Mass, was criminalized. One couldn't publicly be a Christian or even privately. And so it was a form of civil disobedience to worship God and have Mass. And there were Christians who would go out and rescue babies that were left to be killed by exposure. You might say that the early abortion centers were the places in Rome where they would drop off babies who were unwanted, and those children would die from not being fed or given water or loved. And so Christians went there to adopt those babies, but in the cases where the Roman Empire made it illegal to pick up these children, courageous Catholics continued to go and rescue these children, one being St. Barnabas of Antioch, who ultimately was caught and arrested by the Roman guards, and he was a martyr to the dignity of life. And so what we have seen, there have been a number of cases, but when women are in these facilities, they're often herded in by the workers of the abortion center or being coerced by the fathers. And when we offer the rose, it's been very interesting to see how, like, just the facial expression changes, the stress, the fear, and offering a gift of love and being able to see the mother smile, engage in conversation. Some people have been angry, but then through the process of talking with them, they do take the rose, they understand what we're about, and they show us respect. And then to see a mother leave. There was a case in Washington, D.C., where the boyfriend tried to prevent us from, just simply saying, hello, good morning, Mom, here's a gift for you, here's a rose. And in the course of our discussion, he moved from being very angry to sharing with us some of the woundedness in his life, how he'd been abused.
Wow.
And, it ended up that she did leave. She left with the rose, and he nodded with me as we left, and she had a look of peace on her face, and I'll never forget that. So, our hope is that she went to get the resources that we had listed there on the rose. And so it's been great to see fear transformed by God's grace into joy and into peace.
Amen. And how often are each and every one of you part of Red Rose Rescue going out and then What does that look like? I know we think of 40 days of life, we can sign up, we can go with the group. Can you allow for anyone who wants to volunteer their time to join you in your efforts? How does that work? What are the hours of giving of your time look like? Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'd like to direct everyone to redroserescue.com, our website, redroserescue.com, and that has some contact information there. Dr. Monica Miller really helps to coordinate. She's a theologian and has appeared on EWTN, and she helps to coordinate with our volunteers. And as I said earlier, not everyone may feel called to rescue and risk arrest, or perhaps God is calling you. But whatever level of involvement, whether it be prayer support, legal assistance, sidewalk counseling, we have volunteers who help buy the roses and with ribbons tie, the message, and they make the cards and the little miraculous medal. We have priests who have joined us who pray and lead us in prayer. We've had people who, like you, are gifted in the arts and media, who have come to photograph, take videos, and to show the reality of what happens to these children in abortion, but also share the stories of the mothers who have chosen life. So there's really whatever gifts God has given you, it can be put towards the rescue movement. And can also add, we have a Facebook and Instagram social media pages for Red Rose Rescue that you can search for. So would ask all of the viewers, in whatever way, certainly to pray that our mission would be pleasing to God, but also ask the Lord if he may be calling you to assist in this nonviolent direct action to serve mothers and babies and those in the abortion mill with the truth and love of Jesus Christ.
Wonderful. Well, Will, you definitely have the prayers from myself, and God willing, from everyone else who will be watching this. And we will be sure to continue to pray for your efforts, and especially Father right now as he is serving his time. So thank you so much for taking the time today to be interviewed, and may God continue to bless Red Rose Rescue.
Well, thank you, Monet, and really appreciate the privilege of joining you. And be assured, we'll pray for you too in your important work to share the good news of Jesus through the media. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Will. God bless you.
Bless.